Hello. Welcome to my November live. Anybody there? Hoping to see somebody in the chat. There we go. Kelmel 70. Hi. I don't think I've seen you before. Welcome. Oh, am I early today? My computer says 4:02. It looks like you came in at 3:59, and my cable TV clock says 4 o'clock. So we'll give it a couple minutes and see if anybody else shows up. There we go. Whispering Well, Sandra. Simon from the Hermit's Cave. Hello, welcome. Okay, well, we'll wait for a few more people to trickle in. And while we're waiting, I have a couple little news items. There's a record label out of California, out of San Francisco, called Dark Entries Records. And they're going to re-release my third album with my band Dark Day that came out in the mid-'80s. And it's never been on vinyl before because it came out on CD. And Dark Entries is a vinyl reissue label focusing mostly on proto-synth music. So I've had pretty good relationship with them. Anyway, they're finally releasing this. It's their 10th anniversary. And on November 22nd, they're releasing my album Darkest Before Dawn, which is currently available to stream on iTunes and cdbaby.com, but it's never been out on vinyl before. So that's exciting. Secondly, my radio show, my usual Monday night radio show, is on later tonight for anybody that wants to tune in. It's at luxuriamusic.com at 11 p.m. New York City time. You'll have to figure out when that is in your time zone. And if you want to hear me talk, you're in for a disappointment on the radio show because it's mostly music. I do announce, who I've played, but I don't really chat. I'm not like one of those radio chatters. So let's see who else has come in. Oh, Becca's here. Elle, hello, Elle. And that's it so far. So this month, November, I know it's early November, but I was trying to think of a theme for this month. And I really got to thinking about Thanksgiving. It's time to give thanks this month. So, and I've only had my channel since July. So I'm thinking about, why I started the channel and why I started collecting and looking over the decks I've collected since I started my channel in July. So it's just gonna be a massive run through I've collected about 36 decks since I started in July, which is a little crazy for me. And I think if it weren't for the channel, I probably wouldn't have bought many of those decks. But so thank you. Thank you to all those people encouraging me to spend my money and buy decks. We'll see if I can curtail that. September was a crazy buying month. October, not so much. So I think I'm getting it a bit more under control. First of all, when I started out, watching YouTube videos as a shopping helper, to familiarize me with decks. So I thought, I'm interested in these decks, but where I go and buy them, they're all shrink wrapped. You can't really see what the cards look like, and they won't let you open them or look at them. So I thought, well, I really need to, look at some walkthroughs before I start buying these decks. And so I started finding these walkthroughs on YouTube. And initially, like I said, they were just kind of shoppers helpers, to help me decide, do I want to buy a deck? Do I want to pass on it? Is it for me or not? And one of those channels that I really liked was Dark Star. I don't know if you didn't know Dark Star channel. And she does these really brief silent walkthroughs. They're about 6 or 7 minutes long. And it's just the close-ups of the cards, just a quick walkthrough. You can see all the cards and decide, just from looking at the cards, if it intrigues me enough to want to spend the money. And then I started finding other channels, and I found Simon's channel, The Hermit's Cave. And then a whole new realm opened to me of people who were part of a larger supportive community, which changed the whole dynamic for me from just shopper's helper to getting insights and opinions, and a very, very supportive community where people share with each other. And I really like that. So, I'm thankful for it, but at times it's a bit of a detriment too. Like I said, it's kind of sent my shopping out of control. Just check back quickly, see if there's anything I've missed that I need to know about. Oh, reminder, as always, to put at Toadstool Tarot or capital letters if you want me to see your questions or comments. Is it a little dark? Becca says. Is it too dark? It's darker than usual. The sun's not quite gone down yet. I have the lights on, and there's a little light coming in through the windows, but I don't usually have my bright light on. I have more lamps than usual. If that's better, I don't know, tell me if that's better or if you like the other way. So anyway, one of the first channels I said that I embraced and embraced me back was The Hermit's Cave. And then I started checking out other channels that he subscribed to and people he was talking about. And two that I really came to appreciate were Becca at Intuition Tarot, which was Becca Night Owl, I think, back then, and Sandra at Sandra and Tarot, which is now The Whispering Well. And both of them I found really soothing and comforting. Well, Simon too. Simon, Becca, Sandra, not really to single you three out among all the other channels, but there was something soothing and comforting, reassuring, supportive about your channels. And I live in New York City. It's a hectic, crazy, wild, and noisy, animated place here. And it was so nice to find a place of peace and calm and an intimate kind of conversation with people. And I really appreciated that on those three channels in particular. So thank you to the three of you and many others who have channels that they put a lot of effort in on. And so I'm trying to sort of emulate those people too, in terms of my compassion and understanding, and trying not to talk too loud or be overly animated, try and keep things at a calm level. And okay, better. Okay, everybody likes the lighting better, apparently. before we go any further, a little something for Sandra, because I know Sandra's a Harry Potter fan, and I told her a while back that I had sent away for a golden snitch fidget spinner. So it finally came in the mail, Sandra. I think it came from China. I saw the post on it's one of those Facebook ads, and this isn't really a Harry Potter film production. It's just kind of like they took the idea and made this with it, and I just thought I'd share that with you here rather than anywhere else. It's just it's a fidget spinner that looks just a little bit like the golden snitch. So, and it's sort of an iridescent metal color. It's not like, I have a few fidget spinners. This isn't the best one I have, but it's kind of a fun toy. They're fun if you are fidgety, you know. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. I guess I'm gonna proceed because time is limited. And like I said, I have acquired about 36 decks since my channel started, and we're gonna go through them all. No, we're not gonna look at all the cards. I'm just gonna like flash you the boxes and give you my reflections on them, good and bad. I am thankful for them all, even if I only looked at them once or twice or no longer will use them, or if I treasure them, all good. And like this channel and other channels, not every deck is for every person. So, I mean, somebody's going to get something out of it, even if you don't. And all the decks I'm showing you, I have walkthroughs on my channel. So if you want to see all the cards in detail, you can check those out. I don't know why. I've noticed that every time I do a video, I'm like always touching my face, and my nose is itching like crazy, and I don't know why that happens when I go on camera. It's a weird fluke. Maybe I'm allergic to YouTube or something. So the first thing I'm going to start with is my Oracle decks. Check back real fast first. Who's here? Who else is here? We have a new person, I think, with us today that I'm not familiar with, Kelmel70. And if you don't know who that is, maybe you want to subscribe to, I don't know if Kelmel has a channel, but if they do, maybe they need subscribers. It's nice for you to be here. Science to Soul, Tarot with Jen, hello. Who else? Masha is here, Musings by Masha. Okay. So I'm going to start with my Oracle decks. The first one I got was this Mudras of Yoga. And I got this because I was doing yoga, and I'm intrigued by mudras. Are these hand finger positions that are supposed to assist in, transmitting energy through your body, through the different systems, having to do with the chakras and whatnot. And I thought, well, I'll just buy a book. And then I thought, oh, if I do a book and I'm doing these gestures, how am I going to use this book? Because books ordinarily don't open and lay flat. So I thought, well, maybe there's a deck of cards, because then it's not bound. It's not going to close on me. So I found this deck and I thought, oh, that's good. And I can pull individual cards as if they were individual pages out of a book, lay them flat, study the positions, and work with them. I haven't done too much with them. Some of them are really complicated. Some are very simplified, but I think I'm actually going to gift this to my yoga teacher. She doesn't really do this in her class, but I think she might enjoy this. And I think I've gotten all that I'm going to get out of it. And any poses that I particularly like, I know already, or I can Google So I think I've had enough of that one. Then I think I saw this, can't remember, maybe on Simon's channel, Whispers of Lord Ganesha, which I really love because the cards are really, the colors are beautiful. Very bright, beautiful colors. They are highly glossy and a little sticky. And I've kind of moved away from Oracle decks because I really don't like oversized cards. And also Oracle decks for me are something that I tend to just kind of pull one card. It's kind of like a fortune cookie or something. It's, you know, little words of wisdom for the day, of the week, of the month, or the year, or whatever. I don't really use them as guidance so much as you know, like a wise person walking into your apartment and saying, you know, delivering some little word of wisdom. It's oracles. These kind of oracle decks are not really my thing, but it's a beautiful deck. I'll hold on to that a while, probably. Then there was Khalil Gibran's The Prophet. I think I saw this on Simon's channel too. And this one, I was familiar with Khalil Gibran and The Prophet. I used to work in a bookstore, and I started off working in a bookstore back in the 70s. It was a Walden Books at a mall in Pennsylvania. And this publisher was releasing all his books, and he was all the rage at the time. And I just didn't really get into his writing. But I didn't realize that he also was an artist, and the images in this deck are really remind me of kind of like 19th century spirituality. There's some nudity in here, but let me see if I can find some of the images are really really beautiful. So I bought this more for the artwork than the words on the deck or what's in the book. And I like the color palette too. It's like watercolors and like washes. And there's one card in the deck I particularly love, if I can find it, this one. Come and be one of us. It's all these souls. It looks like, you know, walking up the stairs to heaven or whatever, which reminds me of my favorite book, The Golden Key, which I sent a copy of to Simon, but I haven't heard whether he's read it yet or not. It's a favorite fairy tale from the late 1800s by George MacDonald. So that is The Prophet. Then then I went and I bought the Mystical Lenormand, which is a Lenormand deck, but I bought it to use as an oracle because I like the idea when I saw a walkthrough of this, of the cards are mostly, they don't have words on them like usual Lenormand decks. So they just have the images, and I really liked some of the images on these cards. Not all of them. Here's one for you, Becca. Beautiful owls through a little sort of hole in the wall. And all of the cards have sort of window frames of different types of buildings. And oh, I love this one too, of this nun, I guess, or maiden on a path, choosing her pathway over a river. And the images are more involved than the usual Lenormand deck, and I thought they were open to interpretation like an oracle. So I like that. It was in my favorites that I did in response to Kelly Bear's favorites prompt. But a lot of these have changed since I did that. I mean, come late December or January, I'm probably going to redo all my favorites because they just shift over time. Let's see. Elle liked the nudity in the, I guess she liked the nudity in the Gibran. Sandra likes big cards, even though her hands are small. Okay, so Kel Mel is Kelly Hansen on Simon and Lisa's Supportive Tarot Facebook groups. So welcome. Let's see. Sandra needs to add something to her wish list, but I'm not sure which one. So let's see, what else? I had been looking for, oh, well, all right, let's do this oracle. This came a little bit later, but I saw this on Becca's channel, and I really, really liked some of the images, and then others not so much. And I think she got rid of it at the tarot trade, or was going to, but the ones I actually really like, if I can find them, these are stickier cards. That's a nice one. Are the more sort of experimentally looking ones. I mean, there's a lot of kind of generic ones that look like that do nothing for me. But then there are some that have more stuff going on in them, like wonderful colors and symbols. And oh, I like this one a lot. And they sort of made me think of like alchemical illustrations or something. I meant to mention, I think my place is haunted today by an old friend, and it might just be my neighbor. Like, we don't have really good, there's like cracks in the walls and stuff. I think my neighbor smokes, but today I'm smelling tobacco and whiskey, which reminds me of an old friend of mine who's passed. I thought, oh, it's either my neighbor or my friend is haunting me. I love this card. This is a nice one too. Anyway, if I stop on all these cards, we'll never make it through all these decks. So I'm just gonna move on. And this is not a huge oversized oracle deck, but I haven't used it at all. I just like looked at the cards and they're pretty, and that's another problem with acquiring so many decks in so short a time. I think Simon can relate to this because he just did a review of the Celtic Tarot that he had tucked away for a year and hadn't even cracked. It's like if you get too many in too short a time, I don't know how anybody finds time to actually use them or work with them all. I found a lot of them that I've walked through, I've looked through several times I haven't actually worked with. And then there are others, I get these others that I love, and then I can't put them down. I don't want to work with anything else but those. So those are the oracle decks. Science is Soul. Speaking of haunted, I really have to record a video on the spirit reading I did for hubby that I mentioned in Becca's live yesterday. Shit got more weird yesterday. So cool. Wow, Robin, you are quick on my videos, Simon. Actually, I had to skim through a little bit because I just noticed it at like 3:30 and I'm on at 4, and I think it's a 32-minute video or something. So I did have to skip ahead a little bit, but I saw most of it. I'll watch it back later in detail. And I have logged hundreds and hundreds of hours watching Simon's channel because there are so many decks in there that that I don't even know about, that he did like months and years ago. I'm still finding stuff on there that I didn't know was there. So I've invested a lot of time there. Which brings me to another thing. If you like this channel, please click the button. And if you like any of my videos or don't like them, or just if you've watched them, put a little comment in the bottom. Just say hi or something, or make a comment on the deck or whatever. Because it's really, when I'm in the live ones, I can see who's here and who I'm reaching. But in the other ones, all I can see is like or don't like. And unless someone puts a comment. But it's really nice since we have this ongoing conversation or dialogue of sorts in our community. If I know that somebody has watched a particular walkthrough I've done, we have a point in common that we can talk further about at some point in the future. So that's always helpful to know. What's 642? Oh, Sandra wants the Khalil Gibran one. Simon gave it away. Okay, so those are the Oracle decks. Then I had been looking for a while for this tarot deck, the Decadent Dream Tarot, and it was expensive, and I finally decided I'm going to go ahead and order it. And I ordered it online, and they rejected my order, or so they didn't follow through somehow. And I found out that the creator of the deck passed away the week I ordered it, and somebody else took over her channel and wasn't really fulfilling the orders. Now, I don't know if that's changed since then or not. I can't remember now what the woman's name was, but I had wanted this deck so bad, and I mentioned it on Simon's Facebook page, and the lovely Cherise Powers said, "Oh, I have a copy and I never was able to work with it. So, and I love your crochet tarot bag. So let's do a trade." And I said, "Okay." So she traded me this, and I crocheted her a couple of tarot bags. She also threw in this Visconti Pocket Marseille deck, and I asked her if she had Pixie's Astounding Lenormand, and she didn't, and I gave her that as well. So it was a nice little trade. That deck didn't work for me, that Pixie's Lenormand. I felt like it was too contrived from images that she never had any intention of creating a Lenormand deck out of. But I don't know. It just rubbed me the wrong way. But I think she likes it and uses it, so that's great. And I got a deck out of it that I wanted. Although over time, I mean, I love to have this. I love that it was gifted to me, and I will keep it. It's not an easy deck to work with. It's a beautiful art deck. A lot of the images are very dark. Trying to find one I can even show you that's light enough to see. It's all different artists from the symbolism and symbolist period and pre-Raphaelites and some of them are really nice, but I think the Tarot of Delphi deck that I had is sort of better. Yeah, these images are really dark. It's a nice one. But so anyway, I was thrilled that she was sweet enough to offer to trade this to me, gift it to me. And it was nice also that she sent me this Visconti deck, although I told her at the time I don't read Marseille. But, you know, since then, which is we'll go into next, my Marseille decks, since then I have, although I'm not keen on this deck. I don't know if that'll change. I don't generally like decks really teeny weeny like this. I like the in between size that's sort of tarot in a tin, but these really small ones are not so much for me. And I don't know, these images just kind of don't jive with me somehow, but that's just me. Let's see, where do we go? Oh, well, Marseille we were talking about. So, oh, and I forgot an oracle. Another of the early oracles was the Patrick Valenza Mildred's Pocket Oracle, which now, oh, gonna have a 52 card pickup in a minute. I'm storing this in a little plastic soap box that I bought, and it's the Mildred's Pocket Oracle, which I've gone on about in my videos before about Patrick. I have a love-hate relationship with Patrick. His artwork is amazing, but the decks are like all over the place. It's that Goldilocks thing. They're either too small or they're too large, or they're formatted in the wrong direction, or there's always something that's just not quite right for me. The porridge is too cold or it's too hot. The bed's too big or it's too small. I like these images a lot, but it came with in a box, and then extra cards that wouldn't fit in the box, and a bag, and then maybe they all fit in the bag, but there were extra larger cards that didn't fit in the bag. And it's just like, what do I do with all this stuff? Oh, somebody's calling me. Excuse me. Let's shut my... Why did that happen now? I can't even find my phone to shut it off. Sorry. That's obnoxious. I apologize for that. So anyway, that was the Mildred Payne's Pocket Oracle, which I do like. I just wish the cards were a little bit bigger. Now, do I go back to the Marseille or on to Patrick Valenza? All right, we'll go to Marseille and then we'll go back. So after I at some point, I think in September or maybe a little earlier, somebody, Marseille sort of became all the rage in the community. All of a sudden, everybody that was doing RWS started checking out Marseille. So I started looking around online, and I found a deck that I finally really liked the look of, which is the Seventh Sphere Tarot, which some people are saying isn't strictly speaking Marseille, but the pips look very much Marseille, and the color palette is gorgeous. The majors are modern, sort of flat, plain colors that I like. And also people talk about diversity in decks. I kind of like this sort of diversity because the figures aren't, sort of human colors. They're like purple or something. Purple people, they're not black, they're not white, they're not orange, they're not yellow, they're not red. They're sort of, otherworldly color. Oops. These are really, really slippery cards, and it's my only plastic deck. I'm trying to find, there's some swords and some cups. And I think it's a beautiful, beautiful deck. I haven't used it too much because I've been sort of overwhelmed with other decks I've collected, but I still really love it. And when I got it, I think Simon and Becca both recommended that I check out this movie Tarology, which I did. And then I thought, well, maybe I should have a more traditional deck. So I got this Universal Tarot de Marseille, which is hard to get a feel for from the box. The box doesn't really do anything for me. And then I saw a walkthrough online, and I actually liked the coloration in this deck. It has these sort of like pastel kind of marbleized colors in the backs of the images, in blues and golds. I love that devil card. So, yeah. And the only drawback to this one that I can see is the 6 languages, on the borders, but it doesn't bother me that much. Although, I shouldn't say it among this crowd who's getting into Marseille, but I'm going on another wave now where I'm sort of like drifting away from Marseille. But things come in waves of interest. So, go back and forth. I might be drawn back into Marseille. But for now, I'm just kind of not really doing that. So back to Patrick Valenza. So after Mildred's Pocket Oracle, I got the Oracle of Black Enchantment because I really loved the black on brown wrapping paper kind of quality coloration to the images. And I like that wood block kind of look, a very antique-y look. That's kind of similar to the Pocket Oracle a little bit. I never got into the Deviant Moon. For some reason, I didn't like I felt like I had a dark industrial feel that I didn't like. And I've seen a couple walkthroughs recently where I like the coloration more, and most of the cards I do like, but there are a few cards in the deck that are very industrial looking that kind of don't work for me yet. But I bought a lot of other stuff by him. So like I got these, but they're landscape format, which is awkward to use, and they're a little oversized. And at the time, I told a friend about him because he likes creepy stuff, collects horror memorabilia or whatever. Said, "Oh, you might like this guy's artwork." So he ordered the Carte de Visite, which he loved for a while, and then lost interest in, and mailed me his copy that he ordered. So I have that now too. And at the time, I liked the coloration of the Trionfi della Luna, but I didn't buy it because I wasn't into Marseille. I've since bought this deck, and I really like it a lot. And I pre-ordered the Abandoned Oracle, and I don't know if I'm ever going to pre-order or crowd fund another deck. I just can't handle the wait and the suspense. And I think the only reason I pre-ordered this one was it looked like it was going to be in limited quantities, and his decks go really fast. And I thought, if I don't pre-order, I'm going to miss out. I won't be able to get it because when it comes out, it'll be sold out already. But it keeps getting pushed back month by month. It was supposed to be late October. I wrote him the other day, and he said, yeah, we're upset too. We don't know when it's coming. Hopefully really soon. They may be printing now. He's not sure. So I don't know what's happening with it, when we're going to get it. I know eventually we'll get it. And the cards that he's shown online is similar coloration to the Trionfi, which I like. So I know I'm going to love it. I like the cards I've seen. But then again, I'm moving away from Oracle decks. So depending on what the words are that are on the cards, I may or may not relate to it. which brings me, I keep going back and forth on this now. Actually, I'll save this till the end. I was going to say brings me to another Oracle deck. I really got into Oracle decks that are normal size cards that don't have any words on them, and they're really hard to find. But I found one. I like it. It's Tarot by Sevens, John Waterhouse Oracle, but and you can choose different backs for it. But I'll save that for the end because it's a favorite. But I was getting into image reading and working with intuitively reading and interpreting images. And I don't think he's here with us today, but our lovely friend Twist the Leaf recommended to me the Dixit decks. And I went to this little shop across the street from me. It's a board game cafe, which I don't really hang out with because I don't have anybody I play board games with. But I thought they might sell these decks there. They don't sell tarot decks, but they sell games. So they had several, and this one called Revelations looked interesting. So I tried it, and I like the images a lot. And then I checked out another one online, and these I've also looked at walkthroughs. I think Tangi did a few walkthroughs. I forget who else I saw. So I ordered this one, Daydreams, and I like this better than the first one. I think they get a different artist for each deck and to do all the images. And I really like the aesthetics of this second one. It reminds me of sort of a Pixar Pixar animated movie. It turns out it is a French film animator who did the artwork, Frank Dion. And the first one, the Revelations, I had is Marina Coudray. Now, there are so many of these decks. I think there's about 10 of them. I only have these 2. And they all have the same back design. And it's one of those things where I love the art, and I've looked at them and I thought, oh, yeah, I can practice on interpreting these images, but I haven't really used them very much, and I haven't used them in readings. But anyway, there's those. What is next? Let's do this one. I saw a walkthrough on Sandra's channel of the Ship of Fools tarot, and this intrigued me, and I ordered this. And it was one of those things where when I saw it, it looked interesting enough. I thought, oh, it looks like it's out of print. I better see if I can get a copy quick before the prices go too high. And I found one on eBay, and it was kind of expensive, but not too expensive. And I just was in such a rush and a panic. I plopped my money down. And then I did more research and found cheaper copies on Amazon. It was still available. But, it was worth it. It's just I haven't used it very much. I've read through most of the book and looked through most of the cards, and coincidentally it's by Brian Williams, who's done a number of decks. He also did the postmodern Pomo deck, Pomo Tarot, which is fun. It's like a tarot deck sort of in caricatured styles of other famous artists like Picasso and Warhol and Dali and stuff. I don't have it because it also is, I think, now available and out of print. But this guy also did, I think, the Renaissance Tarot. And it turns out he went to high school with an old neighbor friend of mine who sent me a copy of the Renaissance Tarot that I gifted to somebody else before my channel started because I didn't really gel with it. but I sort of wish I'd held on to it just to have been able to do a walkthrough. So anyway, somebody likes the death card. Simon likes the death card from something, but I'm not sure what. Oh, Marseille, maybe? Not the Thoth, Robin. No, I don't have any Thoth decks yet. And I don't know that. Actually, it's bizarre. I've been through a number of walkthroughs for Thoth decks, and the thing that always turns me off is the card backs. That sort of what looks like a Christian cross on it. I know it's not supposed to be, but I don't like that multicolored Christian cross on the back. So I thought, oh, if I can find a Thoth deck that doesn't have that image on the back, maybe I'll give it a shot. But I haven't seen one, so I think I'm out of luck on that. Somebody's got a coupon on a Dixit set. What is this, Simon? Dear fellow inmates, this morning received a long-awaited email from our tragic printers in Hong Kong. The abandoned Oracle is officially in their production queue and is expected to ship in 10 business days. Great. Okay. So in a couple of weeks, we'll have lots of walkthroughs. As soon as they arrive here at Penwood, our minions will be working like a tornado to ship out all pre-orders as fast as inhumanly possible. Which brings me to another thing. The Rain Coast Tarot. I shouldn't bitch about it. I waited and waited and waited. I didn't support it. And then finally, I think Simon showed a borderless version that I really liked a lot more. I resonated more with it than originally. And so I went online and I saw, oh, there were, something like 40 copies left. And they had 20 copies left of the black and white version. And I thought, oh man, and the black and white one, I think, there were only, I think, 20 done to begin with. And they had a few of those left. So I thought, oh, do I get the black and white or do I get the color? Because originally I told Christoph when he was posting images online that I really liked the line work. And he did some black and white line work postings. And I thought, oh, that's what I want. Well, he didn't. He said, oh, well, the black and white ones aren't just line work, they're shaded. And I originally didn't like the shading on either one, but now I kind of do. And now just from FOMO, I decided to go ahead and buy both. So I'm going to try, even though I don't have an overhead setup, I'm going to try to do a side-by-side walkthrough when they arrive. But I've been kind of bitching because I ordered them. Well, it's only been a couple weeks, but I mean, the PayPal money went through and he got that, and I haven't gotten the decks in the mail or even a confirmation that he'd gotten the payment. So I did mention make a comment on a post he had the other day on the Hermit's Cave, and he said, "Don't fret, they're on the way," or on their way very soon, or something. So we'll see. I just don't seem to have patience, especially when you get used to ordering on Amazon and having it in a couple of days. Then, when it comes from Canada or Europe or Japan or whatever, and takes weeks to months, it's real hard to wait. Oh, one thing I was thrilled about though, when I saw the price online for the two Rain Coast decks, it said $125, and $125, do I want to spend that for two decks? I know some of you spend a lot more for one. I thought, all right, I'm going to miss the black and white if I don't get it. So I ordered them both. And then as I completed my order, I realized it was 125 Canadian, which turned out to be 90 US. So I felt fantastic. I saved $25, $30, right away. So that was thrilling. Simon's not had an email confirmation from Avalon R.E. Bonestone. Where's Becca? I haven't seen her in a little while. Is she still here? She must be beat from the weekend. Okay, so let's see. Where do we go from here? Let's press on. These are not in the order that I ordered them, but I found this deck online that I thought was unusual. This is the closest, I guess, to a Thoth deck. I didn't realize it at the time. It's called the Book of Azathoth Tarot cards, and it looks like a Rider-Waite kind of thing to me. It's based on the stories of H.P. Lovecraft, and these are a little bit oversized and pretty slippery. I liked the artwork initially. It was, I think, the first sort of monochrome deck I had. It's like yellow on black, a little bit like scratchboard, excuse me, and very, very detailed. It doesn't translate that well in video. There's so much detail in these cards, but it's kind of like, it's sort of a theme deck, and I mean, it's dark, and you get more out of it if you've read H.P. Lovecraft stories or a fan of H.P. Lovecraft. But I think, again, it's sort of the artwork intrigued me more than the idea of using it regularly as a tarot. And so I don't really know that I will. Oh, Simon, here's one for you in your Celtic tarot. This is the Seven of Wands, which is a little bit explicit. A Dawn card. So that's the Azathoth Tarot, or Book of Azathoth. Then it's somewhere towards, I don't know, it was September, but I was thinking about Lovecraft in October and Halloween. I ordered this Dark Grimoire Tarot, which I think I reviewed in my October live a month ago, which you all saw, which is dark and creepy. Again, it's something I think I probably can use, but I'm not sure if I will use. It's thematically very dark. I might just save it for around Halloween and this time of the year, even though I don't really do Halloween decks, but I did a week or so ago, to get in on the Halloween thing that everybody's doing, order this Trick or Tarot deck that has vintage Halloween images in it, which is kind of fun. But, now that Halloween's over, that'll probably get tucked away on the shelf till next fall. And in keeping with that, I had also found these two decks that I sent Simon a copy of, the Krampus playing cards, which have different images on every card, which you could potentially use to read as an oracle deck, or if you read playing cards. I don't know. I haven't done either. I just like the images, although they're kind of small because they're bordered. But they are fun, creepy images. Early on, I had ordered the Mystical Tarot, And then shortly after that, the Pre-Raphaelite Tarot came out by the same artist. And I love them both and was using them both for a week or two. And then other decks came along that just kind of pushed them out of line. So I still like them, but I haven't looked at either one in a couple months probably. But I think these things sort of go in and out of fashion. I'll probably come back to them and look at them again. Masha left. Let's see. I ordered this. Oh. I had ordered I was into these gold foil decks for a while, and I still have the Golden Klimt and the Golden Botticelli, which were favorites. They've moved down my list and off of my favorites now. Although if I pick a top 5, they might still be in there. This is the Golden Tarot of the Renaissance, which is very nice. And then a similar looking deck, but not with gold foil, is the Medieval Tarot. I think I did a comparison of these. I think I did this in the August or September live. I got the Influence of the Angels Tarot, which I noticed Dustin pointing out the other day on his live on Sunday, and I'm curious as to what he thinks of them. I don't like the image on the box, and I'm not an angels person. So why did I get this deck? Well, because it has vintage art images. I actually like this image better on the book. I like that blue cloaked angel as opposed to the red cloaked angel. But as I said in my review, these cards are luscious. The gilding is, ooh, and the backs, this beautiful midnight blue pattern. I said these are like deli thin slices of a gold ingot. They're very slippery and beautiful. It's a collage deck using, it's very much like Cat Black's Golden Tarot, although it's glossy and it's not as well done. I mean, in a way, I mean the images on here are more obviously collaged than on her deck, and the court cards are like portraits of sort of famous people in history, which I'm not keen on. But it is a pretty deck. The borders are really nice. Beautiful gold borders. And like I said, I bought it sort of because it's like, you know, classic art, even though it's sort of like bastardized classic art because it's been collaged from multiple resources. But it is a beautiful deck, and I can't wait to see what Dustin has to say about it. Oh, and it also came with, I love this. Instead, it does have a little white book, which is substantial, but it also came with these 2 help cards. And I kind of wish all decks would do this. It's got a Minor Arcana Suit Meanings help card, and then a Minor Arcana Number Meanings card, which I'm tempted to just like, you know, leave to one side and apply to all the decks I consult. It's a helpful thing. But at least I know where to find them if I want them. Okay, we're moving through very quickly. We've been on about an hour. Is everybody still with me? Jen's leaving. Becca's still here. Sandra's still here. Simon's still here. Thank you for hanging on. I'll try to make this as quick as I can. Dreams of Gaia Tarot. I like this version better than the larger one. I'm not really relating to it so much. The cards stick together somehow in little like clusters or clumps. I don't know if that, if they wear better over time, but like when you try to shuffle them, I get like 4 and 5 cards at a time. It's like, that's not great. And it's not a deck that I found. The images are gorgeous, but it's just not something I relate to on a reading level. There are a lot of these beautiful, beautiful kind of close-up portrait cards, which don't do anything for me intuitively. I love looking at the images, but it's sort of become kind of a fun art deck. So yeah, a lot of these decks, some I'm going to keep, some I'm going to give away. I'll probably hold on to all of them for a while. I don't know how long one needs to hold on to decks before letting them go. I've learned my lesson from collecting CDs, not to let go too soon, or you end up buying them back later, wishing you had them back again. But I'm running out of real estate here. My shelf space is all full, so I either have to get rid of some decks or some of my CD collection or some of my book collection. I have no shelf space left, and you can see stuff is just piling up around me, and it's already a hoarder's nest, so I don't want it to get worse. There's the Aquarian Tarot in a tin, which I haven't done a walk. That's maybe the only one here I haven't done a walkthrough of yet, which I will at some point. I just, no rush on that. Almost everybody knows it already, I'm sure. Let's do the RWS. So the RWS decks. Oh no, one more. Sorry. This is a little different. This I Ching deck by Klaus Holitzka. I haven't really gotten into this. I need to study it more, but I need to be in the right frame of mind, because even though you can sort of read some imagery in these Japanese watercolors, it really relies heavily on the hexagram and the meaning in the book. So you really need to do a lot of reading. And I have had an I Ching book decades ago and didn't really get into it and passed it on. So I don't know if I get back into this or not. We'll see. The RWS. So I already had a few RWS decks. The Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot came out, and everybody loved it and said it's basically the Dirty Pam, I think they said. So I got it. It's borderless, and initially I didn't exactly give it the most glowing review, which is a good reason to, it's something I'm going to shoot for, to try and live with the deck for a few days before I push a walkthrough out there on the public, because your perspective kind of changes. You have initial impressions, but if you give it a couple of days, you notice more things to talk about in your walkthroughs. I've grown to kind of love this. I love the kind of dark, moody coloration to the deck. The biggest bugaboo I have about it is this nasty misprint that I've gotten in arguments with people over, if I can even find it, on, I think it's a Pentacles card. I always get it mixed up with the Temperance card. Is it the 5 or 6 of Pentacles? That sort of charity card. Yeah, I probably don't need to show this to you guys because you all know it already, but for anybody watching this later that wants to see it. I'll show it if I can find it. No, now I can't find it. Well, they show the scales, and there's a misprint where a string is missing from the scales, and it bugs the crap out of me. But other than that, I love this deck. It's a beautiful deck. So then after that, I started sort of looking for the ideal best RWS deck, and I already had the Centennial in a tin, which I love, and I had the Universal and the Radiant. The Radiant, I like the coloring on, but the facial expressions seemed different when they were drawn. And that kind of changes things for me, because I like to look at their expressions and, read certain things. And so I kind of didn't like that. The Universal is very nice because, is it Universal Weight or Universal? It's the one drawn by Mary Hanson Roberts. It looks like colored pencil. I think that's the one Becca liked. It's very soft, very warm, very friendly. But when I saw the Centennial Weight, I fell in love with it. I don't have the regular sized one, just the little one in a tin. And I'm not sure whether I should get the regular size if it's that different from the little one or not. But I really love the antique-y, grainy look and the off-white, almost kind of like antique look to the white, sort of not quite bone white, but I mean, it's not that stark white border. But anyway, I got that, and then I think Simon showed this, and I hadn't seen it in any stores here, but I guess it's because you can only get it by mail order from abroad. And I ordered it, and it took a while to come, but I think I had to order it through Amazon UK, and it was shipped from Poland or Czechoslovakia or something. And it's fantastic. It's like one of my favorites now. I love that it has the crackleback design on it. That's probably my favorite design on the RWS backs. Actually, I saw a better one recently. It was on well, I'm gonna get to this deck in a minute from Pam's Tarot from Riel. She had was it a Marseille? Was it the Tarot of the Magicians? I think it was. Has a crackleback that's darkened. That's the prettiest back I've seen yet, I think. But I don't know if I'm going to get that deck. I think I'm going to wait and see whether I'm still interested in Marseille and wait for her to complete her full 78 card version of that. This one, like I said, I love the back. The fronts are pretty well detailed. The coloration is good. It's very similar to the Centennial, but it doesn't have that kind of grainy texture look to it. Yeah, the cards are. I thought it was the best detail I had so far. But I had been talking about how I didn't like words or labels on the cards, and I think Simon or somebody said, "Oh, well, there's this deck out there that's Pam's Tarot original art only, and it's without labels or numbers." And I thought, my soul deck, the one for me. And I went and ordered it. And this was a case where it doesn't translate in video online. You really have to see and feel it in person. I was disappointed in this. I thought it was going to be exactly what I was looking for. The cards, the back is the crackle back, but she did a mirror image crackle back, and when they did it, they didn't line it up, so it's not perfectly symmetrical. I know I'm nitpicking, but there's more on this side than on this side. But hey, when there's 4 or 5 dozen RWS decks out and you buy a bunch of them, you have the right to nitpick over every little detail that doesn't suit you. That's one. Another one for me is they have, if you hold them against the light at an angle, they have an appearance of a linen finish, but they don't really feel like linen. And the cardstock to me looks and feels like if I bought cardstock at my local copy shop and had color Xeroxes made of the RWS deck. I'm sorry, that's just the way it looks to me. And the coloration is like sort of garish. It's brighter than I like. It's funny because my favorite one is the RWS 2.0 we'll get to shortly, which you might say is more garish, but it's so much better done than this. This is just like, these feel crude to me, crudely colored, poor looking stock. The only thing good I can say about it is I like that it has a crackle back, and I like that there's no labeling, no images, and they're bordered images. I almost bought the borderless, there was a borderless one, I forget which one you showed, that I almost bought instead of this. I think maybe it did have labels though, but I had an issue with it. It had a card in it that drove me crazy. I think it was the Queen of Pentacles, maybe, that had like an arbor over her head. But on most cards, the arbor drips down from the border as if like there's more to it outside the card. And this one, it had yellow sky above the arbor. So it was like this strangely rectangular shaped tree that had sky above it. It made no sense to me. I just didn't like it at all. But anyway, I digress. So, I'll hang on to this deck, but, and maybe it'll grow on me, but I'm tending to doubt it. I just don't care for it. Then I don't remember why I got this, but again, this was one of the ones Simon showed. I think I really liked the idea. Oh, I think Simon and Becca were both talking about learning how to read tarot. And Becca mentioned posting Post-its all over her house or something, or maybe it was just on the cards. And this one has like, little sort of Post-it size things on the side of each card to read, which is handy, if you're still kind of learning or need a refresher course on certain cards. And even though I said I really don't like really teeny weeny cards, and I don't like modifying decks, I have been so tempted to take the scissors and cut these off and round the corners and make a really, Becca, you might want to check into this. Take this deck, cut it off and round the corners and have a really exquisite, teeny, radiant Rider tarot. Because the backs, I don't think the backs would be upset by the cutting and cornering. So, I mean, that's a thought. I don't know if I ever will, but I saw it and I thought, oh, that'd be really cool. I mean, because they're even smaller probably than, where's that dinky deck? Yeah, they'd be even smaller than the mini decks. So I don't know why I have this deck, but I have it. Then, after I got the AGM and the Pam's original art only, Simon went on about the Siren decks, and the first Siren deck with the brown back I saw, and then this other one came out, and I was glad I waited because I think I like the coloration on this better. And this one has that linen finish that everybody loves. I'm not that keen on linen finishes. They're all right. I mean, they're nice. I kind of don't like that when you hold them at an angle, they cast a grainy shadow on the cards. Another nitpicky thing, I know. I like the backs, and these are, to me, the second most detailed version I have. And the coloration I like on them, even though it's a little bit odd. The yellows are kind of an orangey color more than they are yellow, and the reds are sort of a orangey red, or no, orangey red, cherry red. I don't know. The red is a little different somehow, but I like them. They do have Pixie's original font and no copyright on them, which is a major plus. And this is nice. This is kind of one of my top two go-to rider weights these days. Which brings me probably to my number one. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. The RWS 2.0. I was looking, again, browsing online, and you guys sent me down a rabbit hole to indie decks, that weren't available in the mainstream. So I started going through page after page at makeplayingcards.com, and I found a couple decks I liked. And one of them was the Kalma Tarot, which is a majors only deck, which I didn't like the idea of at first, because what am I going to do with only 22 cards? At least that's what I thought. But I really liked the images on these a lot. The backs are weird because they've got nothing to do with the art style. But I really like the imagery on this deck. This is the Fool. It's an interesting art style, and they have a weird antique-y sort of discolored look, like they were from Russian storybooks out of somebody's attic or something. But they did the same thing that I had an issue with the Radiant Wise Spirit deck. They threw a dirt filter on it. And please, folks, I don't mind you pretending that something is antique-y or agey and make it artificially dirty, but do it in an intelligent way. I mean, they put this dirt filter that has the exact same smudge at the bottom corner on every card. It's like, please, you can't get around faking it that way for me. I mean, it's just way too obvious. I love that tower. So anyway, so when I bought that, and it was pretty expensive. I had money burning a hole in my pocket. I was on there. I thought, oh, there's this RWS 2.0. I can't really tell from the thumbnails, but there's a couple images there that I really like the look of, and maybe I'll order that too. So I ordered them at the same time, thinking I'll be disappointed in that one, but I've been buying all these RWS decks. It turned out I was disappointed in the Kalma Tarot, and I was blown away by the 2.0. This is the back, which is less than stellar, but they have a really, I don't know. I looked online. I think it said it's just 330W or 30S or something. It's like just a standard card, but it feels really slippery and slick and nice, and they have a waxy look to them, even though they're not waxy cards and they don't stick or anything. They do have James Rickleff, the designer's copyright on the borders, but I don't mind it. And also, people that have issues with bordered decks, this one has a border, but the way he's done the background atmosphere, it bleeds off the edge of the card. So I don't edge decks, as you know, but I don't know if you can see this if I angle it, because of the way the colors bleed. It's almost edged. I mean, it's like the colors, when you fan them out, you just get this kind of like rainbow of colors. It's beautiful. I love the fact that the card has a little bit of a hinted border, but it really goes on out into space and takes you with it. I mean, the skies, I can't push this enough. I know I've been twisting Simon's arm off to order this deck, but I really, really, really don't think he'd regret it once he gets it. Oh, and the maker of the deck, or designer rather, contacted me and thanked me for my walkthrough. He really liked it and that I was so supportive of it. But he did point a couple things out to me that I had missed. Now, I don't know if you're going to see this. He said, please point out that on the ledge below the stained glass window, there is a ghost of the reflection from the stained glass on the window. He was so proud of that. I mean, it's just a minor detail, but it is kind of cool. And it's so subtle, I had missed it the first time through. One thing I did pick up on, I hadn't seen in other cards, because this is the most highly detailed line work of any RWS deck I've seen, is that in the halo above the angel in the window's head is the word Pax, P-A-X, which I don't know, maybe you've seen on other cards, but I never saw it before. It's really crisp and clear. And I've got, initially I didn't like the color in the bands and the font on the bottoms, but I have no issue. I've grown to love that. This has an almost 3D effect, and in some ways it's very like the Radiant Wise Spirit. I mean, it's not as dark and moody, but it has a kind of a three-dimensional quality to it. And I just love what he did with the backgrounds. Now, I know some of you have the Conrad Stain deck, which I didn't order because I really love the crackle effect, but I felt like he shouldn't have isolated the background. I would have loved it if he had done a crackle effect across the entire surface of the card, so that the characters in them as well had that crackle on them. I didn't like the way just the background was crackled. It sort of didn't make sense to me. And now what he's done in these decks is sort of what Conrad did. Instead of, he put this blurry ombre effect in the skies of the backgrounds. But somehow it works here, and there is some three-dimensional atmosphere to parts of the images too. I don't know if you can see, like on the haunches of the horse, there's some darkened areas. It's not just flat color. Ugh. Some of these, like, because of that 3D effect and the line work, they almost feel like they're embossed or something. Like it looks like you could feel the black type raised above the level of the card. You can't, but it's kind of like an illusion. Oh, here's another one. Look at the stained glass in the Three of Pentacles up there. Isn't that pretty? So what do I have left to show you? Well, there's this, the Forest of Enchantment Tarot, which you'd think is right up my alley. One of my top decks when I started out was the Everyday Witch, which I still like. I just don't use it or look at it anymore, but I will. I just put it aside. It's not in my top favorites or top most used anymore. This one, because of my love of fairy tales and my having written my own little fairy tale book and all my interest in children's fairy tale vintage illustrations, this one is a beautiful deck. But this is a case for me, I think, of mass-produced overkill. I know I shouldn't say that, but because it's currently so popular, it kind of puts me off. It doesn't have that special quality anymore that I don't know if we all like this. I love it when I find a deck that nobody else knows about. It's like my own little secret, and I can share it with just my closest friends. But, this one everybody knows about. Everybody's reviewing it. And as much as I love it, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on the shelf for a few months and then come back after all the fanfare has died down and work with it then. Because at the moment, it's just like too much hype. It's like overkill. Crystal Ravenrose, hello. She can agree with that. She just got it. It's beautiful. I had 2 new people tonight that I didn't know. Crystal Ravenrose, welcome. L. Okay, so where are we? Oh, an hour and a half almost. So I think that mostly covers it. Oh no, one more. The White Witch Tarot. This is my most recent purchase. And it's magnetic, and it picked up my nail file. I wondered where that had gotten to. I noticed also today when Simon was showing his Celtic tarot in the magnetic box and he opened it, I could see, I always wonder how those magnetic boxes work. And you could see in the way the light hit the inner flap of the closure, these little disc magnets, like they're sort of embossed the way the light hit them. You might want to go back and look at that, Simon. I thought, how do they do this? Is there a whole magnet under there? What? But I guess they just glue in these little magnetic discs or something. I don't know. But I was intrigued by that. This has a magnetic one too, but I don't see any discs. I don't know how this one works. But this is my latest craze. And this one also is a majors only deck. I reviewed it the other day. It's like a little art book, and it's a little different tarot. Each page is a black and white illustration from the deck, and on the opposite page is a poem. And the poem is sort of the interpretation in a poetic way, which makes for just a nice little art book on its own, just a poem with an accompanying illustration. But I love the magnetic box. They're only slightly larger than regular cards. They're not as big as an oracle deck for the most part. I love the sort of what do they call it? Not scratch art. Oh, I had it the other day when I reviewed it. There's a scratch board. There's this method called scratch board. Now, I don't know if that's the way she did these illustrations. They're kind of spooky and eerie, or whether she did them in line work and then just had a negative photographic negative reversal done. But I love how sort of the light, this is the best card. I love how the light energy just emanates from the cards. This makes me think of Reiki or something, you know, with the energy coming out of the hands, or like Kirlian photography or something. But I love this deck, and oh, it's gilt edged. Even though it's only 22 cards, they're thicker. And actually, this is easier for me to work with than the Kalma deck, because the thicker cards, when there's only 22, it feels like a more substantial deck. So I don't mind that it's only 22. This is going to be more of a psychological meditation for me than regular tarot, I think, because the images are very, very abstract and surreal. That's the Devil card with this really fine line work, which makes me think of the phrase, the devil is in the details. But this is my current love. So at the moment, there's 3 gloriously shining decks at the top of my favorites list that we'll see between now and January, whether that changes or not. But at the moment, my top 3 favorite decks, drum roll please, are in second, I don't know in which order they're, the White Witch Tarot. And I mentioned earlier I was going to talk about this. The John Waterhouse Oracle deck, which is pre-Raphaelite painting images. Beautiful. No labels, no numbers, just images. When I had my meeting with Enrique Enriquez, we looked at some of these cards and had a wonderful conversation about them. I had an issue over one of these images where there are a couple of images that seem almost like duplicates in the deck, because I think the creator was originally going to make this a tarot deck, and then she thought better of it and made it an oracle deck. But this one card in particular, there's an image of these 3 women or 5 women pouring water from jugs into a larger vessel. And here, I wondered, well, do you read these cards the same way? It's basically the same image. It's just that one has more women in it than the other one. They're both doing the same thing, pouring water into this vessel. Now, one thing I liked about it that I noticed when we were talking is this vessel has a face on it with a mouth, and there's water coming out of the mouth. So I wasn't sure how to read this card. It's a little bit like the Temperance card, where they're pouring one liquid into another, or the Star card pouring water into more water. It's very similar, but in this one, because these women are pouring liquid into a vessel and it's coming out through the mouth of this other face, it's sort of like a filtering system, I think, sort of like focusing and filtering your thoughts. Before you speak, think carefully about all the various ways you're thinking about things before you put your words out there, which, other people may have different interpretations, but that was a little bit of a visual revelation to me. So anyway, I did digress again. Like I said, my top 3 decks are the White Witch Tarot, the John Waterhouse Oracle. This is the back I chose out of 8 choices you have. And the number 1 on my list is the RWS 2.0. So Becca's leaving us or left us, and I'm about to let you all go. It's been a little over an hour and a half, and I thank you for indulging me and making it through the 36 decks since my channel started. And again, happy Thanksgiving month to you, and thank you all for your support and your participation and your sharing, your generosity, your compassion. Thank you, one and all. I love you. And if I ever get narky or nasty on there, no, it comes from my heart. I'm teasing. I'm not, I've never have an ill word for anybody. I'm just joking, when I get on those live chats and make comments. So, Michelle Craker, you're here just in time to say goodbye. Crystal Raven Rose. Whispering Well, Intuition, Hermit's Cave. Oh no, I see Michelle's been here for a little while. Just a very little while. And not too many here tonight, but I appreciate your being here, and perhaps as I gained more subscribers, more will join in. And the upside of so few people is I don't have any trolls yet. I'm not big enough to be trolled. So good night, all, and see you in the live chats of other people's broadcasts and first week in December. Bye-bye.